Hello, Year 5. How are you enjoying Street Child? I've decided to read some to you, just in case you haven't started. Tell me your story, Jim. Jim Jarvis. Want to know who that is? It's me. That's my name. Only thing I've got is my name. And I've give it away to this man, Barney his name is, or something like that. He told me once, only I forgot it, see? And I don't like to ask him again. Mister, I call him to his face. That is. But there's a little space in my head where his name is Barney. He keeps asking me things. He wants to know my story. That's what he tells me. My story, mister? What do you want to know that for? Ain't much of a story, mine ain't. And he looks at me all quiet. It is, Jim, he says. It's a very special story. It changed my life, child, meeting you. Funny that, ain't it? Because he changed my life, Barney did. I can't believe my luck, and that's a fact. Here I am with food in my belly, and a good hot food at that, and plenty more where that came from. He says I'm wearing clothes that smell nice, and don't have no holes in either. But I'm in this room where there's a great big fire burning, and plenty more logs to put on it, so I won't just die off. And there's just me and him. The other boys are upstairs in their hammocks, all cosy in the big room we sleep in. And downstairs there's just me and him, special. I want to laugh. I'm so full of something I want to laugh out loud. And I stuff my fist in my mouth to stop myself. Barney gives me that look, all quiet. Just tell me your story. My story? Well, I creep back to the fire for this. I hug my knees. I close my eyes to shut out the way the flames dance about, and the way his shadow and mine climb up and down the walls. I shut out the sound of the fire sniffing like a dog at the rat hole, and I think I can hear someone talking very softly. It's a woman's voice talking to a child. I think she's talking to me. Mister, I says, just whispering so's I don't chase the voice away. Can I tell you about my ma? So, what do we think? Are we intrigued? Do we want to read on? The first chapter is called The Shilling Pie. Now, we remember what a shilling is, don't we? Because we learnt about that. A shilling is a coin. Okay. Chapter 1. Jim Jarvis hopped about on the edge of the road, his feet blue with cold. Passing carriages flung muddy snow up into his face and his eyes, and the swaying horses slithered and skidded as they were whipped on by their drivers. At last Jim saw his chance and made a dash for it through the traffic. The little shops in the dark street all glowed yellow, and with their hanging lamps, and Jim dodged from one light to the next until he came to the shop he was looking for. It was the meat pudding shop. Hungry boys and skinny dogs hovered round the doorway, watching for scraps. Jim pushed past them, his coin as hot as a piece of coal in his fist. He could hear his stomach gurgling as the rich smell of the hot gravy met him. Mrs. Hodder was trying to sweep the soggy floor and sprinkle new straw down when Jim ran in. You can run right out again, she shouted to him. If I'm not sick of little boys today. But I've come to buy a pudding, Jim told her. He danced up and down, opening and closing his fist, so his coin winked at her like an eye. She prized it out of his hand and bit it. Where did you find this, little shrimp? She asked him. And stop your dancing. You're making me rock like a ship at sea. Jim hopped onto a dry patch of straw. Ma's purse. And she said there won't be no more because that's the last shilling we got. And I know that's true because I emptied it for her. So make it a good one. Mrs. Hodder, make it big with lots of gravy. He ran home with his pie clutched to his chest, warming him through its cloth wrapping. Some of the boys outside the shop tried to chase him, but he soon lost them in the dark alleys, his heart thudding in case they caught him and stole the pie. At last he came to his house, in a house so full of families that he sometimes wondered how the floors and walls didn't come tumbling down with the weight and the noise of them all. He ran up the stairs and burst into the room his own family lived in. He was panting with triumph and excitement. I've got the pie, he sang out. Shh! His sister Emily was kneeling on the floor, and she turned round to him sharply. Ma's asleep, Jim. Lizzie jumped up and ran to him, pulling him over towards the fire so they could spread out the pudding cloth on the hearth. They broke off chunks of pastry and dipped them into the brimming gravy. "What about Ma?" asked Lizzie. "She won't want it," Emily said. "She never eats." Lizzie pulled Jim's hand back as she was reaching for another chunk. "But the gravy might do her good," she suggested. "Just a little taste. Stop shuffling it down so fast, Jim. Let Ma have a bit." She turned round to her mother's pile of bedding and pulled back the ragged cover. "So, what do we think might be wrong with Ma?" "Ma," she whispered, "try a bit. It's lovely." She held a piece of gravy-soaked pie crust to her lips, but her mother shook her head and turned over, huddling her rug round her. "I'll have it," said Jim, but Lizzie put it on the corner of the mother's bed rags. "She might feel like it later," she said. "The smell might tempt her." "I told you," said Emily. "She didn't want food no more. That's what she said." Jim paused for a moment in this eating, his hand resting over his portion of pie in case his sister snatched it away from him. "What's the matter with Ma?" he asked. "Nothing's the matter," said Emily. She chucked a log on the fire, watching how the flames curled themselves around it. "She's tired is all," Lizzie prompted her. "She just wants to sleep, don't she?" "She's been asleep all day," Jim said, "and yesterday, and the day before."